Good morning, CEOs. Good morning. It is Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good morning. What a week. It's been a powerful week here in my world. How about yours? I understand that the Grammys took place yesterday and they had more women nominated or receiving awards this year than previous years. So let's give a shout out to the women of the world. We are in early February. We acknowledge this as Black History Month. Some people say, well, if you're African American, Black, however you identify yourself, I'm African American. I'm Black all year round, beyond February. But it is great to have the acknowledgement to take time and give recognition to some of our predecessors who have led the way for us to be where we are right now. And also for those who are currently setting up the future for those who are going to come after. So I say happy Black History Month, and also congratulations to all the Grammy nominees and winners yesterday. My name is Coach B, the CEO, as you see it here, co-creator of Extraordinary Outcomes. I want to thank my listeners, subscribers, people who review the video, people who leave a comment. Thank you so much for your support. Again, this is being streamed simultaneously inside of Facebook and YouTube. If you're in Facebook and you want to leave a comment, hit the link that's in the description for StreamYard to have permission to access your Facebook. And then your comment will come up something like this. If you want to watch me live on YouTube, my address there is Coach B dash the CEO, and you will find me there on YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know that I don't say that, so let me make sure I include that in the introduction. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Today's topic, coaching lessons, powerful communications. And I just demonstrated something that needs to be taken into account when we are creating powerful communication with others, whether it's verbal on a medium such as this, whether it's verbal face to face, over the telephone, whether it's written in a text or an email. What does powerful communications look like? So we have the basics. We have the listener, we have the receiver, and on both ends, we have something called decoding. And what is decoding? Decoding is when a person is listening to the information that the speaker is saying, they have a way internally, mentally, emotionally to decode what the person is saying. Sometimes it is based on their experience, it's based on what they understood, it is based on whether or not they are distracted or not, and whether or not I see somebody's leaving a comment. Thank you so much. Surfeld, good morning, Coach B. Good morning, Surfeld. Thanks for coming in live with me this morning. So, what happens is in that decoding process, anything can play a part in what the speaker said not landing effectively on the other end. Again, because when people decode what's being said, it's based in understanding, it's based in what their mood is, it's based on their attention span, it's based on whether or not they understood the language that was being used. So some people might say that communication is not what's said, but what's understood by the receiver. So let me say that again. You have the sender, the person that's speaking, and you have the receiver, the listening. And in between the sending and receiving is something called decoding. And this is where miscommunications can happen. I say something, you hear something different based on a lot of factors in between. What can happen though if the two people don't recognize that there's a miscommunication? Both parties will continue to have the conversation as though they understand what's actually happening, only to discover later that information is missing. There's a misinterpretation. So, what they suggest when we want to have powerful communications is to check in with people and say to them, you know, this is what I understood. Or ask the question, were you saying this? Because what we want to do is get clarity in our communications. Another thing that can happen that prevents us from having powerful communications is we're vague in our terminology. And when vagueness is inside of communications, there's too much room for interpretation of what's being said. I'll give you an example. A person was speaking to me and they kept saying yada, yada, yada at the end of their sentence. Now, if you're like me, you know that expression, yada, 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 it's a couple of years old. And one day I was like, why is this person saying yada, yada, yada? So I asked because I wasn't clear. And in our conversation, this expression of yada, yada, yada came up. So I asked the person, what do you mean when you say yada, yada, yada? Fill in the blanks. Or I'm only going to speak up until this point, and then like the three dots in a sentence, I am going to move on to the next part of the conversation. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Now I understand your what? Form of communication, your speaking style. So people have different styles in speaking. Some people might use a lot of colloquialism. Some people might use a lot of metaphors when they speak. Some people might use a lot of idioms when they speak. And I've talked about this before, but why am I talking about this again? What I want to do is reduce the conflict and the confusion. And when people are speaking with one another inside of a conversation, be it personal or professional, we communicate all day long, either verbally or written. We are in communications. So, what is powerful communications? Powerful communications is when you're not clear, ask for clarity. Powerful communications is not speaking in vague terms and assuming that other people understand what you are speaking of. Powerful communications is understanding that there is different styles of communications. While you may have one style of communications, another person may have another style of communication. The other thing, the language that we use, the actual words that we use, words have more than one meaning. And sometimes when people are speaking with you, they're speaking from a definition and you're listening from another definition. So sometimes we need to ask people when we can see that a disagreement is starting to form or a conflict is starting to form. Well, that's not what I said. You're not listening to me. When we start hearing that language, we may start to ask people, can you clarify what you meant when you said X, Y, and Z? So that I can have a better understanding of what you meant and take time out to say, this is what I heard you say. Now, just because this is what I heard you say Doesn't mean that it's accurate or inaccurate, but what we're bringing into the conversation is our interpretation. Now, let me stop here and say that there's no wrong, there's no right, there's no good, there's no bad. It's our interpretation. Remember the word decoding that I used earlier. It is our decoding of information. And it may not be that people are not listening to you, it may not be that people don't understand you. And we need not to get defensive when we are in a conflict. There's a book called Difficult Conversations, and I highly recommend that book if you want to improve on your communication and be a powerful communicator. One of the things that he talks about in the book is that sometimes when people are speaking to us based on our values, based on our beliefs, based on our experience, we hear information and we personalize it as though it's an attack on our values, our principles, and our morals. So if somebody says something to me, and let's say, for example, I did not get it right away, I did not understand. And then the person goes, well, you're not listening to me, you never listen to me. Where they're coming from is a place of what is interpreted as their values about whether or not what they said was important, whether we value them as a speaker, when that may not even be true at all. It just may mean that the person did not decode the information the way it was intended. The reason why this subject matter has become so dear and close to me is that as I grow professionally and I'm interacting with people from nonprofit organizations, executives, working with executives and governmental agencies, and taking on my private clients, what I'm beginning to understand is that this powerful communication, this powerful listening, and allowing myself to enhance, improve my own communication while helping other people to enhance and improve their communication as well. It's very, very, very important because when we have powerful communication, it cuts down on the conflict. It cuts down on people walking away with feelings of they're not being heard, they're not being valued, they're not being understood. It takes away the conflict and the confusion. What we want to do, the goal here is to have connection with people. And one way to have connection with people is through powerful communication. Again, so you have the speaker, there's a decoding process in the middle, and then there is the receiver. Language matters, interpretation matters, experience matters. From what context is the person speaking from? What do they mean when they say X, Y, and Z? It is not my responsibility, right, to say I know what the person is saying because I don't know. I really don't know. I can speculate or I can get clarity in the moment and say, hey, when you said this, what did you mean by that? Not in a way of interrogating a person, but in a way of asking for, hey, I would like clarity so that we can move forward in the conversation, so that we can have a better understanding, so we can land on the same page. So we can land on the same page. So again, people speak idioms, metaphor, colloquialism. People speak in all different ways. Then we have the word itself that may have more than one meaning. So the person is using the word from one meaning, and you're listening to the same word, but listening from a different meaning. Again, these things can cause confusion, conflict, misinformation. If we don't slow down, if we don't slow down, then we miss an opportunity to have powerful communications, to have connections with individuals. So we want to be able to connect with people. One way to connect with people is to have powerful communication. Don't be vague, ask for clarity, don't personalize what is being said, because again, people are bringing their different experiences, their different values, their different interpretations into the conversation. Use it as a learning experience. Oh, I didn't see it that way. Oh, I didn't think about it that way. Thank you for clarifying that for me. These are the phrases that we want to use when we can see that either a conflict is coming up or we're at an impasse inside of the communication. We don't have to stay stuck. We don't have to personalize it. We don't have to give it more meaning than what it's worth. Again, there's no good, no bad, no right or wrong, because we want to remove judgment out of the conversation. And when we remove judgment out of the conversation, then we're able to listen and receive more effectively. And we can speak from a place of confidence and be assured when we're not in judgment, we can be assured that we are connecting with people on a deeper level. This topic of communications. Now, other people might look at communications as enunciation, pronunciation, not using word fillers. All of those things matter as well in terms of effective communication. But I'm talking about powerful communication. I'm talking about the way we connect. I'm talking about the way that we listen. I'm talking about the way that we speak. And more importantly, what's in the middle, what's in that space from the sender to the receiver is decoding, 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 decoding. And in that area, there is a lot of information that is happening. What the person is listening to, are they distracted? Their, their interpretation of what's being said, their experience, their values, their beliefs, all of that is in the middle, in the space of communication. And this is why it's so important to slow down, take a deep breath, and ask for clarity. You will know if you're entering into a conflict, if you're entering into an impasse in the conversation because of what people say, and you can hear the tone, you can hear the frustration, you can hear the language. You're not listening, you're not paying attention. I said that already. You can hear the conflict starting to arise. You can hear the impact. And when those things happen, slow down the conversation, ask for interpretation, have the exchange. Oh, this is what I heard. This is what I understood. This is what I interpret. And then move forward. What did you mean? And then clear that little space up and then move forward into an enjoyable conversation, a powerful conversation. We do not need to stop speaking to people, getting our panties in a bunches because we feel like we weren't valued and understood or listened to. We can slow down, be in the process of powerful communication. This has been your Monday Morning Magic. Please subscribe on YouTube, like, share, or leave a comment, and I'll see you next Monday.